Today we'll see how to deploy a React app to GitHub Pages. We all have used GitHub to store our code bases, but today we'll also see how to deploy a React app to the GitHub Pages. So to start with, we'll create a Vite project with the React TypeScript template. After you run this command, your project will be ready. So let's start by running the project. So your project will be up and running on localhost 5173. So this is the default project. We are not going to change the project yet because this is just a demonstration video. So when you head back to the repo in VS Code, you'll have all the files for a project, and once you push them to GitHub and go to the settings page of your repository, you'll find a pages section. In the pages section, it will say for build and deployment you need GitHub Actions, or you can deploy directly from the branch. We'll use a GitHub Action. They do not have a pre-built template for Vite, so I have created my own using the next template. So I made some tweaks to it and it works for Vite. So we'll go ahead and see how that works. So back in your project, create a .github folder, and inside that folder create a Vite .yaml file. So it should be under the workflows folder first. In that file, you can name the workflow anything you want. Then we want to run it when there is any new commit on the main branch, or we want to run it manually using the GitHub Actions page. Then we need the permissions for the contents read, pages write, and ID token write. Also, we only want to run one build at a time, so that we do not end up overusing the GitHub Pages action. Then in the job section, we'll have both the steps. So the first step is the build step. We'll run it on an Ubuntu machine. We'll first check out the code, then we'll set up Node.js on it with version 20, and we'll use npm. We'll do a clean install, and then we'll do a build. So npm run build will build your project into the dist directory, as you can see, something like this. Then we'll upload the artifacts, which is the dist directory, to the actions upload pages artifact action. We will run the deploy step on Ubuntu latest again, and once the deployment is done using the actions deploy pages action, we'll set the two environment variables. One will be GitHub Pages, that is the name of the environment, and then the URL to the deployment, which comes from the deployment step here. So this is how you do the deployments, and once you have this action pushed up to your GitHub repo, you will see something like this in your actions tab. And if you go to this workflow that we created now, you will have an option to do run workflow. So if you click on here and then you wait for a few seconds, you'll have a new build running, and there you have two steps as we declared. One is the build, one is the deploy, and I think it will take a few seconds. Yeah, so it's almost done. Then if you go back to your pages section again, instead of the setup page, we'll have a up-to-date deployed website. So if you copy the URL and you open it, you'll find that even though you can visit the page and it says the title that we have on our local machine, it does not render anything. And if you open the inspect tool, you'll find out that the JavaScript is missing. So it is a single page app and it definitely needs the JavaScript to work. And if you see the URL, it is missing because the Vite project is trying to access the assets, the JavaScript and the CSS, directly from our base URL. So GitHub Pages are deployed on your base URL, which is your account name, github.io, and then the repository name. But in here we do not have the repository name, which is why it is not working. To fix this part, you can directly go back to your Vite project, into the Vite config, and inside of the define config, you can add something called base, and then we can say /react pages. And if you commit this part, you say added base URL, and you commit and push, you'll have another action running soon enough, because we also run the action whenever there is a new commit on main. So as soon as there is the push happens, we'll have this new action running, which is for the commit added base URL. And yeah, now the project is deployed again after our changes. Now if I reload the page, it seems to be working because the JavaScript is now fetched from the base URL. So we match the base URL with our repository URL, everything works fine. The code works. Okay, now this was part 1. Now let's try to add a domain. To add a domain, you simply need to go back to your pages settings, and here you have an option to add a custom domain. So we'll say something react pages dot image.fun. This is the domain that I own, so I can do this. So please make sure you have a domain. And if you hit save, it will try to ensure that the DNS records are set up correctly, which you can do yourself. All you have to do is create a CNAME record using your URL. So the URL will be Anshuman Bhardwaj, in my case anshumanbhardwaj.github.io. So to do this, you can just simply go to your domain name manager, and then you can add a CNAME record for React Pages in my case, and then the target URL, and then you can proxy it. I'm using proxy because I'm using Cloudflare, but you can skip this step if you are using something else. And now it will make the DNS check successful. Everything is fine. It works with HTTPS. So let's try and open this URL. And it again does not work. So let's inspect again. Let's see why is it not working. As you can see, it is now again trying to request the React Pages because we set the base URL. But now the website is deployed directly on a custom domain, so it does not need a base URL any longer. Simply go back again to your code, remove this base URL. I know it sounds very futile to add it and then remove it, but the point is that we need to know why it works in a way and it does not work in the other way. So now let's say remove the base URL, and yeah, like that you just push the code again, the GitHub build will start running again. Yeah, so it is running again, and so the build has finished. So we can now go back and try to reload again, and it works. So we are back, everything works fine. You can see the project is now served correctly. So yeah, this is how you deploy your React app to your GitHub pages. And yeah, that's it. Subscribe to the channel for more content, and thanks for watching this video.